Yo, it's A-Tone here, and I just played Halo Combat Evolved for the first time. Halo was always a series I had never grown up around. I didn't have an Xbox. I was always grown up. I always grew up with Nintendo consoles, so I never got the chance to play Halo growing up. And you know, I just reacted to all the trailers and stuff. Well, I still have to finish it, and don't worry, that's the next video that's coming out. That's gonna be what I film next, is finishing all the trailers. But I just played Halo 1. I figured I would, you know, give a review on the game from a fresh perspective, and yeah. So right off the bat, I will say I did really like this game. I had some nitpicks, but you know, it is an older title. It's not going to be perfect. And overall, you can't expect perfection from a game, but I would give this like a solid 8 out of 10 in my personal opinion. I would say the one thing that I definitely am going to need help from you guys is understanding the story. Don't take that as me saying Halo is a bad story. I just kind of found myself so focused on the gameplay, I kind of forgot to pay attention to the story. So if you guys could help me with, you know, the whole plot to this first game, I kind of just forgot to pay attention to it. I understood parts like the Flood and the Halo and what the overall goal was, but kind of throughout the story I was kind of mixed up on why we were going to certain places. But so if you guys could help me out. Again, I'm not trying to say Halo was a bad story and confusing, far from it. I just kind of forgot to pay attention to that part. I'll go ahead and get what I disliked about this game out of the way first. I would say my biggest annoyance with Halo 1 was the driving. I did not like the controls at all. You know, like, I feel like it's just a universal thing. Every driving game should have triggers, or for at least consoles, like triggers to drive, you know, and I did not like having to push forward the drive. It just did not feel right. So it did make the ending a little bit less enjoyable for me, having, you know, that whole driving section. And the other thing that was kind of frustrating, but you know, it wasn't anything the game did wrong, it was just more so frustrating because it was such a sudden spike in difficulty, but was the Flood section. It was nothing the game did wrong. It portrayed the Flood perfectly, you know. It was a very sudden and chaotic invasion of the Flood. They were spreading. But overall, it was very frustrating, you know, dealing with all of a sudden, I'm just being swarmed by these dudes out of nowhere. Obviously, yeah, the game doesn't look the best now, like, especially the original version, but, I mean, it came out in, like, what, 2000 and... When did this game come out? Hold on. It's 2001. It came out in 2001. Now, getting to the parts I did like, I really liked how the game, like, the controls in terms of just shooting and, you know, like actual combat. I really liked it. I really liked how they paced a lot of the enemies, and it felt really satisfying, just like, especially with the snipers. Snipers are like my favorite thing in video games, and Halo, I mean, it was no different with Halo. Like, Halo was no exception. It was super satisfying, the combat, and it felt like, you know, I feel like a lot of games with shooters and stuff like that, I feel like a lot of games like around that same genre, like Halo, they offer you a melee attack, but it's often, you know, not that useful, at least in my experience. There are a few exceptions to that, but I genuinely did use, you know, Master Chief's melee attacks quite a bit. The other thing I really liked is how it paced the ammo. It was frustrating, but I liked that it was frustrating because it really made me have to think about what I was doing instead of just shooting willy-nilly. I had to think, you know, I couldn't just run and gun. I actually had to think, you know. I didn't want to run out of ammo, and especially for stuff like the sniper rifle and some of the more less common weapons throughout the game. I mean, not to say that they're rare to find throughout the game, but stuff you don't get ammo for too much. It really made me think about each shot, and I really liked that about the game. At least in my perspective, it made me really have to think about each shot. Here's the other thing, and I know it sounds weird for me to say this, considering I did not like the driving, but the flying parts where you have to fly a vehicle, I feel like for me, I don't know, I liked those controls a lot better for the flying. That was another thing I really liked. It felt really satisfying to fly a lot of the vehicles, and that was super satisfying, and overall, I really did like the game. Towards the end of the game, like I said earlier with the Flood, it did amp up a lot in terms of chaos and difficulty, and well, for me personally, that was frustrating. I really liked, and I will be honest, at first I did not like it at all. But then, you know, so I was talking to someone about it, and it kind of clicked in my head, like, it was supposed to be like that. It wasn't just, you know, bad game design that they all of a sudden amped up the difficulty and didn't prepare the player. It was supposed to be like that. And so it took a bit of thinking about it and talking with someone, but after thinking about it, I really liked how they did the flood section. I think it worked out really well. I think its goal was to frustrate you. And I really liked how the, especially the little explodey dudes, I don't know what their names are, that exploded and all the little tiny dudes. Great commentary, dudes and tiny dudes. Great descriptions, me. Those parts were both annoying but also really cool. I really liked their design, honestly. Those kinds of enemies in games, their designs, are like my favorite. You know, like the ones that just look creepy and like gross, and those kinds of like aliens and stuff, those are my like favorite villain or just character designs. I also just like villain designs way more than main character designs. Sorry, Master Chief, I like the flood design better than you. So overall, I give it a score of 8 out of 10. I will be playing Halo 2. Probably within the next few weeks. I don't want to immediately jump into this game just because I don't want to burn myself out on Halo. I don't know how different this is going to be to Halo 1. I don't know what's going to change. I don't know what's going to be improved, or for all I know, it could be a worse game. I don't know. I know nothing about Halo but what I've played of Halo 1. Well, it was a bit of a short review, but it was a review nonetheless. But yeah, I really did like this game, and I'm looking forward to Halo 2. It'll just be a bit so I don't burn myself out. If you guys enjoyed this, and if there's any other franchises you would like me to check out, go ahead and leave suggestions in the comments. I'm looking forward to Halo 2, and before you leave, I want you to look at this. I want you to look at this. Wait. That's disgusting. Look at how many of you aren't subscribed. Like, what are you doing? Like, you are missing out on so much garbage. Make sure you subscribe, or I will come after you. Okay, bye.